Welcome to your magical moon message. Society is rigged. This is the peace dealer. The moon is in Leo. Say hi to the sun, shining bright. Before its quote unquote inevitable heat death, or I guess the universe, but like before its supernovas, maybe one day, who knows. But yeah, Sun in Scorpio, y'all. We are coming into the completion of this transit. Now, let's talk a little bit about the mechanics of the mathematics of this cycle. Once again, we are referencing the sun's transit through the zodiac belt. If you think you have a belt that keeps your waist up, if you have pants that need the tightening. So relative to that belt is kind of thin, right? Just like the zodiac belt. It's an imaginary space. Unlike the constellations don't have 30 degrees each. But relative to the moon's relationship, I don't know if it's a sinusoidal relationship, but relative to its relationship to the sun, that's what accounts for 30 days each degree on that 360 degree beltway, which doesn't have to be equal to the 365 days because of course the extra days account for the delineation. But anyway, relative to that belt, just want to get this out the way. Just like you have a belt around your pants, that belt goes through this imaginary space, and 9 degrees on either side of that belt is how the sun wobbles through this ecliptic path. Its intersection with the Earth's equator creates the seasons. And so, of course, now that we have passed equal day and night and we're coming into more of the night, right? This completion of the Scorpio season transit is very symbolic because this is the final understanding of light, passion, and courage before we delve deeper into the underworld. As far as the mathematics, traditionally we have the new moon, and then we complete the transit with the full moon. And then we come back around through the balsamic phase, clear the field, and plant new seeds with the new moon. That's what we're going to be doing, but traditionally, the new moon happens in the beginning of the sign. We have the full moon at the middle, and then of course we have the new moon at the beginning of the next sign. Of course, given the delineation of a degree shift or few every time, over time this shifts to where now we have the new moon at the end of the sign and we have the full moon near the beginning of the sign, which will of course we'll see shift again. So this sets up a different, unique dynamic because, of course, we have the full moon in Taurus in the first decan. And instead of activating the cycle in the sign and then completing it in that sign or harvesting it, we had the full moon manifest this natural quality of energy that we can convert purely. And that's setting up after this completion to activate a peak new moon Scorpio near the end of the sign in its degree. One thing to keep in mind is that ignorance and pride can blind many. All right. There are a varying amount of filters and frames. One thing to always be mindful of is the frame in any given moment that you maintain. I can apply, there's a lot of frames and filters that people apply over the purity of a moment that relative to their limited perspective and understanding, think Malcolm Gladwell Blink, they apply their prejudice towards. Because, human beings are one of the only species that are really just stuck in so much hubris to believe that they really know anything. Enlightenment is realizing you really don't know shit. That's why I can proudly say, I don't know shit. That opens me up to be a vessel to speak the truth. Because at least I can always remember that I always have more to learn. But regardless, relative to the frames that you may maintain, you may express yourself, and given to someone's already biased preconception of you, they will already place and apply a frame on their understanding of you from the outside looking in. And due to the psychology of weak behavior, everything about fixed sign energy brings out strength. This is why fixed signs can expose weak behavior, weak energy, in the form of how people now overcompensate for that insecurity. Someone who can stand in strength does not squirm or wiggle, or does not get threatened, because that which is real can't be threatened. This is where someone who is real secure in themselves can stand a barrage of insults and can stand a barrage of, disrespect, because they know at their core they're real. They're realer than whatever figurative or made up projections are thrown at them, versus other people who are at their core are not real, and they're constantly threatened by everything, having to react to everything, having to try to censor everything. And by their fruit ye shall know them. While people are judging the log in other people's the speck in other people's eyes and not the log in their own actions betray them. And that's the leaderboard score of the 10th house Leo moon transit to Scorpio. This is a shining example of the work people have harvested. That's the most important part about this. Adam or Abel and Cain, one offering was rejected, the other wasn't, because one put the first of his best stuff and offered it. But regardless, these periods show us the quality of how well you harvested everything you put in the work to activate through these planting of the seeds. And that's going to evidence itself by the strength and quality of how you express and understand this transformation of your character, once again on stage, once again integrated as this breaks through socially, once and for all, and completes. So this is where a lot of society's pitfalls and sins, as far as its obsession with vanity and its obsession with everything that's not really truly important, which undermines those who actually consistently align with such, is going to really fall apart on itself. And relative to the opposition the moon had to Pluto, now that the moon is going to square Uranus and Jupiter, this is going to evidence itself by those who really now expose their own selves with feigning confusion and dark psychological tactics that now, with the light of this moon in Leo, shed and clear away confusion around certain people's tendencies to rely on their weakness, because the level of your authenticity makes them squirm, makes them struggle, puts them in compromising positions to realize that the lies that they tell to themselves on a daily basis don't necessarily affect you the way they want it to manipulate you, making you the villain. And the moon's trine to the North Node in Aries will really reveal a whole lot of how much more you understand the direction you're meant to go in, which is as radical as it is raw and reasonably reckless. I like that word, reasonably reckless. Regardless, you'll definitely come into a golden understanding of not only how much you're evolving, because now the conjunction between the moon and Uranus is breaking through the ground with the 90-degree square coming into Leo. But this added strength will enable you to stand in the values of your own courage, or stand in the courage of your own values, rather, as you get ready during this checkpoint. If you think the moon in Leo is a checkpoint between moon in Taurus, the full moon, and the moon in Scorpio, new moon, and the completion of this energy is going to prepare for one of the purest, most intense activations of all time. Now, with the moon that is square Mars in Scorpio and Mercury this will tempt you to perhaps respond to certain projections towards you or clashes of ego and will in maybe more intense and extreme ways. But you just want to remember that what is necessary and what is unnecessary in that regard. Make sure that before you ether someone, you're not inadvertently just stooping yourself lower to their level. Make sure that before you personally compromise your values, you make sure at least the situation warrants it. That way you won't fall for obvious pit traps and choose your battles wisely. Of course, as is with any Leo transit, is the potential for drama, as the moon will enter Libra once it moves in with Venus after Virgo. So this conclusion phase is literally wrapping up one of the greatest twists that will now start to come to light very wildly through Sagittarius season. And you definitely want to examine how criticisms against you with Venus and Virgo, that's pulling the receipts and polishing the behavioral patterns you've activated through repetition and consistency as you do every year, but of course had a much more supernatural quality with the Neptune-Saturn opposition in Pisces. This is going to help you examine how baseless a lot of the criticisms against what you are authentically doing are, and how it's just an expression of weakness that is mainly more subconscious and unconscious, where, you know, people who are weak or beings that are weak are more sensitive to things than other people, and they may not be the most conscious in how that shows in their behavior while they're busy being a weak little bitch. That being said, you want to maintain the integrity of your strength and power and conviction and beliefs relative to how uniquely you're expressing the transformed quality in Scorpio of everything you will be completing. This brings rewards. This brings an understanding of much more authentic strength and how you actually share that with the world around you. And this also brings unexpected success with the square to Uranus and Jupiter that will seek to expand what more you can accomplish. Just be mindful once again, those with real constructive criticism will have real ways of sharing it with you. So don't fall for the BS of people who feel like just because they're being honest, they can embarrass or kind of put you down in the process. And I'm talking about like in general or more specific things. Me personally, I'm not really speaking on anything specific because a lot of these things are not really new. They're just going to carry on further, but just be mindful of that. But yeah, if you get too caught up in like the hype, you can end up being angry at people or influences that aren't even, there's really nothing to get angry at, or there's really nothing to get worked up over, or it really just could be a huge miscommunication. Mercury getting ready to take its lead over Mars is also going to work wonders for your brain processing, which will also be magnificente. All right. Embrace your quirks, as that square to Uranus will challenge how well you maintain authenticity in the face of outside influences that may be sensitive to your eccentricities. Don't let people's weakness stunt your growth and expression of your strength. Weakness said kindly, not to really make fun of anyone for being weak. Although weak little bitches are weak little bitches, that is what it is. But regardless, you just want to be mindful of dark psychological tactics that can manipulate you to hold yourself back in order to uphold a lie or some false narrative. All right. Please enjoy the rewards that will be coming during this conclusion, and prepare yourself, because after this new moon cycle is Sagittarius, where we blast off. And until then, we're coming into the rewards of the second part of the I Told You So tour. Get ready for a pure breakthrough.
Peace.